everybody stopping just to see. Every nose wants to know where you get that happy glow. You're the cutest pup in this whole town, oh, can't you see? Folks whisper when you trot on by, like, who's that fluffy superstar? Let's give 'em something to bark about, a little woof to howl about. Let's give 'em something to bark about. Oof in love, oof in love. Jumping puddles in the yard, chewing shoes like it ain't hard, chasing after every squirrel inside. You got style, you got flair, birds flying everywhere. You turn every ordinary day into highlight. Neighbors peeking through the blinds like, there goes that dog again. Let's give 'em something to bark about, a tail wag stroll around the block. Let's give 'em something to bark about. Oof in love, oof in love. Maybe we're fetching, maybe we're playing, maybe we're just outside misbehaving. But you and me, pup, we're living out loud. Every walk feels like a parade. Every night you've got it made in a cuddled up dog dream, dreaming proud. Oh, let's give 'em something to bark about, a howl at midnight kind of shout. Let's give 'em something to bark about. Wolf in love, wolf in love, wolf in love, wolf in love.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Something to Bark About. How are y'all doing? My favorite part of that song is Woof and Love. That's what my life is, woof and love. Well, y'all come on in. I know this was short notice. Didn't know whether how I'd be feeling today and whether I could go live. And also figured out Monday that when Megan is doing a court show or something, that there's no sense in me trying to sit here and talk to myself. Although I will say thanks to DR Most. He was here, and he or she, I have no clue if it's a man or a woman, but very nice. And we're in a lot of chats together. But was my only attender on Monday live. So, and then when I got offline, I figured out that Megan was live doing the case about the Legos, which is a wild story. If anybody hasn't found that, you need to check it out. I thought it was kind of a joke or something, but it's an actual real deal that's been going on. And I actually saw a part one on it last night. It's just, who knew that a Lego collection could be worth 100,000? You know, I never dreamed that, but now I know something. Gonna give folks a few minutes. I normally go live at 2:30 Central, but like I said, I wasn't sure if Megan would be going live again, and I didn't look to see if Squid was live. But with these other wonderful creators, it's hard to go up against them. But I am so tickled. I think, and I can't tell until she gets in the chat, but I think I have a very special friend, Shannon from Montana, that hopefully she's going to be my first guest that when we do a live stream, and I'm going to give it proper uh, doing with, um, planning ahead of time and setting a date. And I know Shannon's a very busy lady, so, but I did think about emailing her a while ago, and I was like, come on in. Then I didn't even tell her where to go. So, but I think she found me because she said she saw a pink shirt. So, yes, I got on my uh, shirt. I know you can't read stuff online with it being backwards, but uh, Pam gave me this. What ring are we in? And that's typically what my question is when it's getting close to showtime and I'm running in with a chihuahua or two, and I'm like, what ring are we in? So it's pretty appropriate. Shannon, can you, are you on a device that you can join in the chat? And that way I can, if I've got the right buttons here, it should show up here. And I've seen a couple others come in and go out. So I wish there was a way to, kind of like on Facebook, it'll pop up the names of who's there, and at least you know if it's one of your buddies. And the only way I know that from this side of things is if you type something in the chat, for me to see you're here, and I can see the numbers that are here, either watching through YouTube or Facebook. And now I've added Rumble like everybody else has been doing. And I thought, man, I'm crazy. It's hard enough for me to figure out the buttons that I'm pushing now. And y'all know how this old boomer messes that up quite a bit. But I have added a Rumble channel. So if you are on Rumble, you can, or if you're not on Rumble, you can go to Rumble. It's free. There's no fees to join. And you can look for something to bark about and give me a follow. I'd appreciate it. And hey, there's my buddy. All right, let's get this up. I even figured out how to show it on the screen. Welcome, Shannon. Luxury Unleashed. I love that name. Shannon is going to be my first live guest that she has said yes, and I'm going to hold her to it. And I don't know where the Kelsey Marie is wanting to go, but she's supposed to be in the LIVE position. I can't say the word no more because they all know when they hear that song and I start talking live, then they just know what that word means. Yeah, I'm so tickled. I thought about doing it and then I forgot to send you a note this morning. So a while ago, the thought went through me again, and I was like, well, she can either say yes or no. And you're honored. Well, no, I'm honored to be for truth. And I didn't know how I would feel today, but I feel pretty good. I've got a very sore throat. It's not near as bad as it was last night, and my voice has came back pretty good. Y'all quit your grumbling. Goodness, or no, and Kelsey. No. I know you're not in your spots right. But anyway, I was, and this will be for replay crew later too. I had my lung biopsy yesterday, and it went great. As far as everything, the little doctor was amazed that when I said he's going to get in there and not find no issue, and he was showing me the size, measuring how big a spot on my right lung. And I was like, well, it's all gonna be good. And I said, I wouldn't even be here if I hadn't have fell out of the bed and broke my rib. And he was like, you're kidding. And I was like, nope, that's how all this got started. So, but he was super, super nice little guy, and just a wonderful hospital staff. The worst part of it all though was I woke up with the worst migraine. Oh my God, I was so sick. And the little nurse, I guess in recovery, everybody has their own personal nurse, and I couldn't even hardly say migraine. And she was like, would you like a rag? And I said no, or I don't even remember what I said, but in a few minutes I felt a rag laying over my eyes. So she knew I was really sick, and they got to giving me medication, and thank it took a little bit because we wasn't expecting that. But after they finally got some stuff in me and for nausea, the headache started relieving. And I know Shannon knows about them old migraines. They're just, I wouldn't wish them on my worst enemy, but they kept asking me if I'd ever had reactions to anesthesia. And I was like, no. But then on the way home, I got to thinking, gosh, I hadn't probably had anesthesia since my late 20s and early 30s. So um, I hope that's not something that you have to expect when you have anesthesia, but they will definitely know ahead of time before they put me under again that, hey, I woke up really, really sick. Yeah, I saw the other day that you'd been fighting a really bad one. That those are, like I said, I wouldn't wish them on my worst enemy. If anybody's ever had a migraine, you can relate. And people that haven't had them usually understand, especially if they have a loved one that goes through them, how debilitating, if I can get that word out, they really are. But this is my channel, um, Shannon, and I have talked about you in the past. And for the replay crew, we may have some more folks find me. I don't know if my notifications went out, but I am about 30 minutes earlier than normal. But you got a solution. Oh, awesome. I will always listen to solutions. 56 days. Oh my gosh. Do you have like the cluster migraines? I had a cousin that had the clusters that lasted for days. And, I've had one that lasts 3 or 4 days, and that was bad enough. But I can't imagine 56 days. It's just unbelievable. But anyway, Shannon, we met in Portland, Oregon at Women in the Pet Industry group we were involved in. And she was one of those people where you meet and you connect immediately. And that's how I felt with Shannon. And it may be she had her chihuahua with her, and I had my little chihuahua Pocket with me, and she had Gigi. And so that was the first off connection. Was anybody that loves chihuahuas, they're a good person. So um, but she I mean, I was just so out of place to this room was filled with women from all over the country that that had done something major for dogs. And I'm sure there was pets included, cats and other animals, but primarily dogs. And that's one of the things, Shannon, I would love when we do our live, if you would talk about your kennel and your situation with the Rottweiler. That stuck with me that night you did that speech, and that made me even love you more. That you were so brave to go through that, because anybody that's dealt with dogs and cared for them, boarding, grooming, you know, dog bites and attacks are unfortunately a part of the deal. And Shannon has an amazing story, and I can't wait for her to share. But I've also been talking about the latest endeavor you've started, which I'm so sorry. I know you lost the baby just in the last couple of days. I saw it on Facebook. But Shannon has started a hospice program for elderly chihuahuas. And it is just so inspiring. And I won't steal her thunder when she goes live with me to tell all what's going on. But it it's just amazing. And you know, chihuahuas are not the easiest sometimes, and if they've been one person dogs, that's, you know, it's tough for them to, they pick their person usually and that's it. So seeing Shannon, some of these babies, you know, if they lost their owner or however they ended up in these situations, and to see the love and dignity that she's given these dogs that, you know, might have a few months to live, maybe a few years, but man, I just love what you're doing and can't wait to get all the details and get you to share it with my crew, and hopefully um, you know, we can help spread the word. And um, it's like I said, I think it's amazing. Welcome. I see there's a couple more that's joined. Y'all come on in the chat here and tell us who you are. Yeah, the Chihuahua test. That is a true test. I'm telling you. If you want to meet somebody, and especially in this breed, if your Chihuahua likes you, likes them, that's a big test right there. My kids got to meet my really good friend, brought her grandson and daughter, and her little grandson, he's cutest thing, and he has said the word Chihuahua since he was barely one. I mean, and can say the word better than me. And they will do FaceTimes with me, and Oliver wants to see the Chihuahuas. So they were in town visiting a week or so ago, and he wanted to come hold a Chihuahua. Well, explaining he's 3 now, and explaining to a 3-year old that, you know, Chihuahuas that hadn't been around children are not the easiest. And Kelsey tried to, you know, but if he reached for her or something, she's like, nope, no, you don't have none of that. And Oops was doing her tricks for him, and she was getting in his lap by accident, chasing the treats going around from person to person, and she would have to land up at Oliver's lap for a couple of seconds. But uh, you know, it was just funny. But I was like, and I think he was upset all the way back to North Arkansas because he didn't get to hold a Chihuahua. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way. Um, you know, like I said, if they're raised with kids, then they usually do great. But you know, they look at a child as like, oh my gosh, what's this little thing coming at me? They don't get it, you know. But it's just so cute to see. All right, people, come on in and talk to us. I know we jumped on here at a weird time, but I was trying to see if we could get around Megan. Like I said, I went live Monday, and Dr. Mose was with me the whole show, and I was like, where's everybody at? And then I saw that Megan was live, and she had, you know, 4 or 5,000 people. And I'm like, nobody's gonna find me if Megan's live, which I love to watch her stuff too. Um, but come on in. It shows we got four. Y'all can't be bashful. I appreciate my buddy Shannon, and we've seen each other. I think 3 times in real life. I know twice in Portland, Oregon, and I believe. Um, did you go to Super Zoo in Vegas? I got to go to Super Zoo, and I can't remember if you was with us during that group or not. But we've been in person at least twice in our life, possibly 3 times. I was thinking you was there. That was one of them wild trips. The Super Zoo. It's the largest pet expo in the world, and I get to go. So no, just twice. Okay, well, Super Zoo was. I remember Gila was there, and I can't remember who all. I think Amy was there, but we were walking around, had a little parade going through all the booths and chanting something about women in the pet industry. And of course, Pocket was she was going through the booths. And in fact, you gave Pocket she was crazy about one of them crazy balls with like the raccoon tail. And I mean, that she was crazy about that. And we're going through all those booths, and I turn around and they had one of those playing, and Pocket has it in her mouth, leaving with it. I wasn't paying attention. It's like, oh no, we don't steal, Pocket. I don't know what y'all are saying, but hopefully nobody's coming in. But to answer your question, Shannon, I have 7 behind me. This is 7 of my 11 kids. I actually have 6 behind me. Cotton is what, no, y'all don't want to, stop. Cotton's the one that's walking around and making them get antsy. This is Believe, my puppy. She will be a year old in September. This is Kelsey. Goodness gracious. Amanda Go. Oops. And No. And No is pregnant. And we don't know how many babies, but I will probably she's due around June 20th. And so I'll probably take her the next week or so to get an x-ray and see how many we got growing in there. But I've already been saying Justice and Truth. So somehow 2 of them are going to be named Justice and Truth. It's just instant friends, and just that something so special has just happened. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I mean, and Precious Pocket, she loved it. I miss that little turkey, and I know you miss you, Gigi. They were 2 very spoiled chihuahuas, as they all should be. Well, we can make that happen. We can make that happen. I'm excited about a litter, because it's been a couple of litters, a couple of years since I've had a litter. So I'm excited. And No, in her first litter had 6 puppies, 3 smooth coats and 3 long coats, and all 3 long coats became champions and have won group. And No's the #1 ear cleaner. My dogs have the cleanest ears, and it's because No makes sure that she keeps them clean, as you can see what she's doing now. Yes, they were very special and always have a piece of our heart. Um, I wanted to go to Chihuahuas, and you always look back at stuff, and uh, I see how things were meant to be. But my grandmother, who died when I was probably 6 or 7 years old, my memories of her were going to her house, and she raised Chihuahuas, and uh, I was born in '63, so I guess this would have been the early '70s or something, just old enough to remember some of it. But I just remember sitting down she had a building behind the house and had little doggy doors, and I just get in the floor and all them chihuahuas all over me. And she actually would ship in her dogs on the Reeder Railroad, which my grandpa was a engineer, and my dad was a brakeman on the train. And I also remember Daddy holding me up and let me pull the choo-choo train or the horn, and it was like a passenger train. And but for all these years later, after having different breeds over the years and showing different breeds, when I wanted to go get back into showing after I took care of mom and dad, I wanted to go little. I didn't want to take the big heavy crates, and I wanted to go to a dog show and have 2 or 3 dogs in a bag on my shoulder, and I'll do it all the time. I'll go by friends, and they're all set up with their big crates and everything, and I'll be like, I think I forgot something, and then I'll be, nope, I got it all right here, and just kind of rub it in. But I I had that dream of getting into Chihuahuas, and flew to Syracuse, New York, and got a little pocket that actually rode home in my hoodie pocket from Syracuse, because dummy me coming from Arkansas on April 1st, it was Wagon Tail's 25th anniversary. And when I get there, there's snow on the ground, and I'm like, "Oh, great!" And didn't have a jacket or nothing, so I bought a little Syracuse hoodie, orange hoodie, there at the airport, and that's what Pocket rode home. And Diva, oh my gosh, she was the little diva of the house. But then I got Promise, and Promise has ties to all these babies laying here. Uh, I get, well, every one of them's either a granddaughter, great granddaughter. So Promise will be 15. Let's see, she'll be 15 in January. But yeah, isn't that cool to think about how life just, it's like a full circle moment. And, uh, to be in Chihuahuas, and then thinking about, and I've always said, man, I'd love if my grandmother was here and take her to a dog show. And because this is back in the '50s that she was really big into uh, raising Chihuahuas and shipping them and that kind of stuff. So I would have loved to. I got to take my mom to a couple of dog shows, and she loved it. Was in heaven. And I know that's where my love of dogs came from, was my mom and grandma. My dad, he wasn't crazy about dogs, but what's funny is when I started Wagging Tails in '86, just turned 40 years old April 1st, which is, I'm not but 38, so I don't know how my business is 40. But with dad, it gave him something to do once he retired, and he was always, fixing a gate or building this or building that. And then little by little, I would see like a boarding dog. the dog wouldn't be in where they're supposed to be, and I'd freak. Well, then I'd look, and Dad would let the dog help him do whatever he was doing. And of course, the last 5 years of his life, he lived in this room right here. I moved him in and took care of him. And, and it was so funny though, because we had like a little half door up where the dogs didn't come in here and bother him. And I had two cats, and Dad was sure not a cat person. And it was like they knew the boundaries, but the couple of times that Dad had to go to the hospital or whatever, I looked and both of my cats would be laying in his bed, and I'm like, y'all are trying to get me hurt, but they knew better. They were like, we don't want to go near uh, that room down there when he's there because they'll be in trouble. Well, I appreciate that, Shannon, saying my grandmother would be proud. It sure would be cool to see her knowledge of dogs compared to, what we've learned about dogs. Yeah, that math, that's kind of like when people ask me and I say I have 11 chihuahuas, and they're like, but my deal was how many chihuahuas does it take to equal a whole dog? Well, with 11, we're still barely, 30 something pounds of dogs. And to me, I'm barely at a medium sized dog. So, but yeah, 11's enough. But I'm sure that if Nono has the right baby for the show ring, that there will be, and it's pretty evident that the name will either be Truth or Justice or both. Um, oh, now Kelsey's going to do nose or ear cleaning. Well, I appreciate y'all joining me. I didn't have a lot to say except I was tickled to feel like even getting on here and talking, and uh, I'm not coughing or choking. Believe, don't you get near the edge. That's the cool thing about me being able to see them in the computer monitor. When they start looking over the edge, I can, tell them to get back pretty good. But they kind of like this deal, They've learned that they get to hang out for a few minutes like that, because this is normally what my lap looks like. If I'm sitting in my chair, then that's what my lap is. So, but we're gonna cut it off for today, and I'm gonna get a date set up with Shannon to where we could let everybody know and give everybody at least a week or so's notice to join us, and try to pick a time when we're not going up against some of the big creators that everybody. I still don't know who's been here other than I see there's three, but only Shannon has chatted with me, so I don't know who the other two are. But like I said, it was short notice and at a different time, but it's been fun, and I look forward, and I'll get with you, Shannon, on looking at dates coming up, and I will find out in a week about the results for my biopsy yesterday. But I'm believing they're going to say it's all good, and the doctors had told me that it would be either surgery or surgery and chemo. Well, if I had to do either one of those two things, I'm believing for just surgery. Don't want no chemo. But I have already told my hairdresser that, I love short hair. And I told her, if I'm losing my hair, I want you to shave it off, and I'm going to put a purple paw print, just perfect right on my bald head. And so she was already figured out how to give me a perfect paw print. Welcome, Tina. you're listening, enjoying my information. Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you coming on and letting us know you were listening. That's how I do with a lot of the channels too. I don't always get the chat, but I do enjoy the different shows. But I sure appreciate y'all, and I hate we are going to cut it short, just because this was like an impromptu thing. But I will be getting with you, Shannon. Love you. Appreciate all the prayers, and I am excited about us doing a live. I'll have to figure out the buttons on how to do that. So, but we'll try to make it happen. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna let y'all go. Remember, there's always something to bark about, and I love you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.